future reference as well.
Yeah.
Great. So in that case, thank you everyone for joining us today. Satish, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, I'm Satish Mahajan. Okay, I think part of the Cyber Gurukul, one of the student of Gurukul, keep learning every time when we have sessions here. Okay, I have around 33 years of industry experience, worked in most of the IT profiles Currently, I'm working in the field of IT procurement and IT operations.
Thank you
I think
so much,
that's a
Satish.
short introduction.
Thank you so much,
I'm an
Satish.
academician. I'm a coach. I'm a trainer. Okay, and lots of other things. So I'm basically certified counselor for career as well as personal counseling. I'm a trainer. I teach for engineering as well as executive MBA for last 20 years. Okay, now I think with the load, it has reduced a lot, but still I'm learning because the industry itself is growing and every day we come across some new challenges to learn. So all my Guru Bandhus are helping me to learn a lot.
Thank you so much, Satish. Let us also have the initial context setting started with you.
Okay, welcome to one more session of Cyber Gurukul. Okay, what we started today is going to be a different area altogether. I think since ages we are learning about incident management. Okay, then reporting incident management, and we have learned the process of reporting incident management. Now, the incident earlier was more local, right? It was restricted to my organization. Now, with the era of cloud, the incident has changed. It has become global, right? And the thing is, we started saying that now it become a threat for us and we started saying that I think let us share the threat so that everybody will get alert. So now to handle such situation, we got a global body called CERT In, okay, which is going to help us to organizely record the incidences, which will help other organizations to get ready to handle such incident, what you can say, security threats. It can be malware attack, it can be virus attack, or it can be any other threat, right? And today what we are going to learn basically is how to handle such threats into an organized fashion so that we can have a minimum damage when the attack takes place, right? We have with us two gurus of these areas, Indranil, who is Director of Cybersecurity in E&Y, my Cyber Gurukul friend, Shashank, who is going to help us to handle, teach us how to handle this certain process, right? Plus, also, I would like to introduce all my Guru Bandhus here. Okay, I'll not take individual names, but I think they are part of it. Okay, and we'll keep learning from them every time. I'll hand over to Vijaya to take it ahead for discussion.
Thank you so much, Satish, for the wonderful context setting. And I must admit, you are the most sincere student of this ecosystem and this industry. Highly appreciate your constant contribution and every aspect of Cyber Gurukul, Satish. At Cyber Gurukul, driven with our passion for cyber security, the power of storytelling and promoting inclusiveness. This time, we will step by step decode and simplify recent CERT In India guidelines, the nodal body for cybersecurity in India. This time, we will attempt to gain freedom from cyber crimes to ensure open, safe, and trusted and accountable internet in the country. This is in line with the Amrit Mahotsav we have recently celebrated for the 25th anniversary of our independence. And it's indeed wonderful to be so well supported by whole CG family in this initiative. Thank you so much for joining and a warm welcome to all our insightful journey. Let me now take the equal privilege to introduce our esteemed speaker, Mr. Indranil. Thanks so much for gracing CG platform. And Shashank, appreciate you are doing dual role for the core member of CyberGurukul as well as esteemed speaker for today's session. Really looking forward for today's session. But before we move forward, I would like to hear from both of you, starting with Indranil. First, please.
Yeah, so my name is Indranil Chaterjee, and I manage the cyber security vertical for telecom, media, and technology on devise platform. This is my 24th year into the industry, and almost all verticals I have touched so far. Over to Shashank.
Yeah, thank you for introductions, Satish, Harsh, and Vijay. Thank you for coming in, Indranil sir, for putting in your thoughts on this. I'm Shashank. I head information security at Credible as of now. Having being spent more than 10 plus years in cybersecurity domain itself, and a good amount of load in the leadership roles. Fair bit of idea of challenges which comes on our way, and in security, and here to contribute my same, and welcome all board, all participants, yeah, from CyberGurukul side.
Thank you, Indranil. Thank you, Shashank. And I request founder of CyberGurukul, Harsh, to take this session forward and moderate it. Thank you. Please, sir, take this forward.
Thank you so much. I hope I am totally audible, visible, and the presentation is also visible, just to confirm. Oh, great. Thank you so much. So yeah, first of all, thank you everyone for joining us, and a warm welcome to yet another insightful journey, this time having the roadmap to cyber resilience with the certain directions. Under, of course, the able captaincy and leadership of Mr. Indranil Chaterjee and Mr. Shashank Bajpai. Trust me, we are extremely excited and looking forward to grab all the learnings that you can give us today. But of course, before we dig deeper, explore into the what and how, let me not forget to have this special mention. Vijaya, Satish, perfect start given by you, and along with all the core members, of course, including Shashank. I must mention you are a pioneer to CyberGurukul, and really looking forward to your inputs and support as always. Also, looking forward to the continued support and guidance that all the extended family always gives us. So thank you so much for that. And at this point, let me, have for sure this, mention that this time, armed with the certain guidelines, like, already Vijaya has shared a bit, let us this time together enable, engage, empower, and fight back against the cyber war that we see around ourselves. And to do that, we all realize that India today in itself is a true digital economy, but at the same time, it needs a stronger cyber shield. I'm sure all of us would agree with this, right? And I guess that's one of the big reasons why the CERT India or Computer Emergency Response Team of the government has introduced this new guidelines as a blueprint to that proactive cyber threat defense platform that is required, covering not only identifying those digital risk at an earlier stage, but also providing that measures or measuring and mitigating the cyber threats effectively. And yes, today we will be digging deeper into the what and how, both conceptually as well as in application, in understanding these information security practices, procedures, prevention, response, reporting of cyber incidents, which is necessary to do to ensure the open, safe, trusted, and accountable internet across India. Also, not forgetting the blueprint to the resilient security postures. There are different fundamentals and aspects to it, from the collection, analysis, handling of cyber incidents to reporting the cyber incidents within 6 hours of the attack or the notice. I think something which really is creating anxiety among us, and piecing together the fragments of the malicious activity, because at the end, what we want to do is bring those protective and preventive measures to combat these next-gen cyber threats. So we will be digging deeper into the story for sure and welcoming our speakers. But before we do that, we thought, why not, start with some basic nitty-gritties and also help each other out over there. So we are now coming up with the opinion poll. We already have shared the CERT India guidelines, which you can refer. Let us know, Vijay, can you put the opinion poll, please?
Yes,
Let us know what
participant, you can get the details for these guidelines in chat box, and poll, I hope it's visible to everyone.
Can we have this poll later, Vijay? Can we start with the other one first?
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry.
We will again come back on this.
Yeah, my mistake.
Yeah. So let's first start with the other poll.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Correct.
So,
Yes.
according to the guidelines and as much as we all understand, what do you think? What is the authorized mode to report the cyber incidents to the CERT In? Let's go a little nerdy before going into the applications. Yes, you can definitely use the CERT India guidelines for that. I hope the poll is visible to everyone.
Hers not to me.
Okay, so can we reshare this, Vijaya? I think people are not able to see. Let me end the poll and we can restart this.
Yeah. It's now visible, but again gone.
Okay, we'll restart it. Yes, Vijay will have to help us again.
No problem. I guess some issue.
No worries. Is it visible now, the poll to everyone?
Yeah.
Yes.
now it's
Poll
visible.
is visible, but we can't vote.
Okay. All right, Vijaya, we'll have to do something about this. Okay, but we have started getting some votes.
Voting is a fundamental right. You have to help.
Yes, yes.
For sure.
A
I hope
voting card is
everyone has
available.
got their fundamental right now. Okay. We have started getting some answers. Few feel it is through email, few feel it is the email and phone. And there are some answers around that for the true and false as well.
I can see only results.
Okay, maybe you are also this, you've also been put as a kind of author, right? So that could be the reason. Because I can't also vote, so others will be voting. I think Shashank and Indranil can vote, right, Vijaya?
Oh, they can't.
We can view it.
No worries. We've got few answers. 67% currently feel it's email and phone. So accordingly, they have also put for the true, for the authorized mode of reporting cyber incidents. 33% feel email is the authorized mode. By the way, Shashank, Indranil, what do you think? CERT India we'll discuss later, but major of other regulators or maybe all other audits or maybe the other guidelines, what is usually the authorized mode over there? Is it mostly email or there have been some changes? Just curious to know till more answers are coming.
I mean, mostly email is yes, and they provide a hotline to call, right? Like what we is going to discuss is 6 hours for India. I was just going through internet, anyone can find it out. It is 72 hours for European Union to report back. And in USA, it is 24 hours. So I don't know how good or how effective rollout will happen and people will be able to comply to the 6 hours because it is a very stringent timeline. Very stringent timeline.
Yeah, but I prefer from a CISO, I prefer that email is better because on phone, it will be so difficult to address
Yes.
what should we communicate,
Yes.
whom should we communicate, and
Yes.
what exactly are we sharing the IP address to
Correct.
each person. So I guess
Correct.
email is better. It is legally
There is a-
proved, and also we know what we are sharing. Yeah.
Yes. No, I was just talking about the timeline. So they have shared the guidelines, the government guideline. We must follow it. But question is, 6 hours is a very stringent timeline. Not all organizations are biggest enterprise, so small and medium organizations will face some difficulty to report by 6 hours. That's on a personal note, but yes, we need to comply, so we need to plan.
Very much. So I think from the concept to the application, to the opinions, what we feel about CERT India guidelines, that is where we'll be heading to. Currently, 67% of the participants have answered it correctly. That the authorized mode currently is email and phone, although like Shashank has mentioned, maybe, the viability of phone. But yeah, that is what is the mode of reporting certain incidents to the CERT In, and accordingly, the people who have marked it true are the ones who have got it correct. But anyways, the objective to share these polls is so that we learn more, right? So learning is for 100%. Yes. Now, moving forward, we'll have such more opinion polls so that we can help each other learn a little better and skill up more. CERT India guidelines definitely plays a very, very critical role. So Shashank, let's start with you. What do you think? What's the story that you have seen around yourself? Especially if I talk about the CISO and the CERT In. Can you dig deeper into this and help us? What's happening? What's
Yeah,
the story?
so from certain angle, obviously it is our advisory body from Ministry of IT. This is a federated. Oh, I kind of lost. Yeah, I'm there, right? Yeah. So I was saying that it is a good that it is an advisory body, and it helps us with lot of you can say advisory notifications, guidelines, coming on time, and they have actually I guess they have skilled up within themselves to provide all the CISOs and all those who actually embark on their advisory notifications to at least send out any critical infrastructure related or maybe any critical patch related informations directly to our mailboxes, and in fact directly even to our SOC service providers. So I mean that is where it is good. But obviously, see, with regards to these guidelines and specifically coming on those things, so we have to understand that certain because it is an overarching body, it looks at critical infrastructure, maybe say the as Indranil was saying, maybe telecom providers or ISP providers of the Indian geography at large, as well as maybe hypercritical infrastructures, maybe something like the uranium corporations or nuclear power plants, which are much more critical, which have both IT and OT, because CERT In has to even protect them against the various threats on the cyber field. So I guess it is, and also the critical financial sector, which I am also a small part of. So obviously we have different criticality indexes, different verticals, and it is very difficult to scale or make a rule against all of these different sizes. I mean that is where I guess it is equally challenging at their end also, I hope. And but it is good that they are looking at each and individual and each entity as a body within the Indian context, and giving us the right what you can say, the information. I've looked at various certs, be it the Australian cert or the Singapore cert, and then there are many other certs. Every federal union has its cert now. But I guess cert in from a mindset of at least giving away information is much more much more robust and much more efficient from that angle. But we have our roadblocks. Every coin has the other side, as it is said. And the whole management mindset, when we talk about, say, the senior management mindset as to what has to happen when someone was saying in the server was saying that 6 hours we'll have to report. I guess 6 hours would be not enough for me to in fact take internal approvals, maybe it from legal counsel, maybe it from corporate communications, and maybe even from the board of directors and senior management, because it is a critical attack which has happened. So setting up a cyber crisis management systems, in fact getting a complete framework ready for addressing such kind of quick response, is very much indeed very much challenging. And I guess I think myself as an organization which is very fast and very non hierarchical, but in case of hierarchical companies, and maybe where we have 1,000 different committees, calling on these committees and getting approvals to share some information which might have media implication, brand reputation implication is very critical. So we will have to have certain secure channels, obviously, some backend that this information will not get leaked or get not will be actually much more sophisticatedly addressed. And this is a it's basically known as the first information reporting that we do, FIRs, right? So this is what we do certain should be treated like just an information reporting, rather than turning it a dark side onto us itself and our brands, because then the CISO's role becomes much more challenging, because we have the marketing, branding, POM looking at CISO that what are you going to do, the X amount of money which they have spent on these projects of theirs will get tarnished by just maybe a hoax of data breach. And it is very much impacting, especially in the present tech world. When we see all businesses are driven by tech, I see right from food tech to ed tech, our medium of channelizing information and imparting knowledge through technology. That's what we are doing even today, right? So technology is driving all businesses, and in fact non-profit making businesses also, like us. So I guess we understand that technology is responsible, and technology has the risk of getting impacted by cyber risk. But whether I should report a single phishing email to certain what should exactly be reported, when should I report it, and what I feel that if it is really impacting my business. And then there is other side, because if I'm not reporting, there might be an audit. Will I be thrown like a GDPR kind of response that X percentage of my turnover would be will have to be penalized against my inactivity of reporting. So it becomes much more complicated and much more, what you can say, challenging in itself, as a very resistive nature of whether to adopt this, how to adopt this. And I guess I've given a lot of questions to Indranil sir to obviously address. I guess so, yeah, that is from my side.
Thank you so much, Shashank. Before we, take over to Indranil, yes, I do understand that you do find this, framework or this blueprint conceptually quite robust, but robust. But when you come into the practical terms, that's a different ball game in itself. And we can really sense your anxiety also when it comes to, applying these compliances, keeping in mind those big challenges today. One, of course, the senior management mindset, the kind of complex hierarchy to report. And of course, it would be. Technology has been an enabler, but it is also a responsibility. It's well understood. But, when you're reporting these cyber incidents, there has to be a secure channel. Reporting within 6 hours definitely seems to, create a lot of anxiety among us. And that is something which we really need to think about. And let's not forget the business impact. There is a reason why there has been some form of a social stigma when you are reporting these cyber threats. So what about that? What about the, brand reputation, the damage that it can cost? How do we ensure the right, media, kind of right coverage, and how will the next person take? And after all, when we are reporting, is it the first information reporting, or is going to be some kind of a backfire also? There are so many queries, so many concerns, I must say. So Indranil, over to you. You have been, you're from a consulting angle, you can help us, how you are addressing and helping your customer with such important critical concerns.
Yeah, I can find 7-8 questions from your angle. I'll touch upon each one of it slowly but steadily. I'll start with the very basic. So, as I was stating before the program starts, that in other countries, CERT In has given a little more relaxed timeline. But considering the volume India handled from a cyber perspective, the amount of organizations, amount of turnover taking place, the economy is growing. So from that perspective, if you go back and check the pressure on the CERT In side, it is mammoth. So you have reported, but how do they assist? So what is their mind? What is their plan? We should start from there. And then we'll come to the other side of it, reporting. Given the short time frame, organization would need to reassess their practices and procedures in relation to the breach reporting. It's not that the first time an organization is getting under attack. So they need to reassess basis this and ensure appropriate organizational capabilities deployed in order to identify and report cybersecurity incident in this time frame. Now, what CERT In will do to help you once you report, that one must know. So collection, analysis, dissemination of information on cyber incidents. This is well written on the CERT In guideline only. Forecast and alerts of cybersecurity incidents, emergency measures for handling cybersecurity incidents, because enterprise like big telecoms or big banks or heavy industries, steel industries, they have a very good capability developed. But for the small and medium sector, not all have developed capability to manage the incident properly, and they're getting hacked. And as a CISO, from a CISO fraternity, what Shashank said, this point of worry that my brand reputation will be at stake, social media so active, so what will happen to that? So many a times people say, we should give some money to the hacker and get a relief. We should not report. So from that perspective, CERT In came back and said, the coordination of cyber incident response activities, they will also help on that. They will issue guidelines, advisories, vulnerability notes, white paper, etc. for security practices, procedures, prevention, response, and reporting cyber incidents. So all kind of help what an organization requires is already there from their side. Now the question comes that what to report, how to report, whom to report, etc. So once you identify a system administrator can report an adverse activity, unwanted behavior to CERT In either through mail or through help desk. Now what you have to report? You have find something contains the incident report. There are 4 major areas which CERT In is looking for you to report. Time of occurrence of the incident, information regarding affected system and network, symptoms observed, that means what is happening around, relevant technical information such as security systems deployed, action taken to mitigate damage, etc. Now what CERT In will do? They will verify the authenticity of the report, and then they will help you to respond to the incident. So that is what is the prima facie requirement of CERT In to the Indian geography organizations. Now comes the second thing, that all are covered. So many people asking whether I am covered, my organization is covered. So that's a very exhaustive list that is shared by the CERT In. Data centers, body corporate, government organizations, virtual private server providers, virtual asset service providers, custodian wallet providers, cloud service providers, virtual private network providers, and all intermediaries. All of them are covered. Now I'll touch upon the last question from us, that what is the rule or what is the cyber threat? Whether we need to report everything? So that's a question. So first thing first, target scanning, probing of critical networks or systems. So the organization has to identify what is their critical network. For bank, the criticality may be different. Their NEFT or RTGS, etc. servers. For telecom operators, it might be having their customers, their vast services, so on and so forth. So that they need to first identify. Once they identify it, then compromise of critical systems or information that need to be reported. Unauthorized access to IT systems or data. It can be from both sides. Once, what is both sides? Generally, people think that any external attack. No. If there is a malicious intruder from inside also, that is also considered as hacking or malicious activity, which also need to be reported. It's not that you need to have a hacker outside who is trying to crack your system. Then defacement of website or intrusion. Suppose my website name is cybergurukul.com. When I click on cybergurukul.com, it is taking me to some hanky-panky site. So that is a defacement of the website and the reputation that needs to be reported. Any malicious code attacks, such as spreading of virus or ransomware or spyware, crypto miners, worm, trojans, bots, all these. Then identity thefts, spoofing, phishing attacks, all these also be put. This is a long list. I'm not touching upon everything, but I will share these details with Harsh. You can publish it for the purpose. The next thing comes to my mind is, so in addition, data breach or data leak or fake mobile app or unauthorized access to social media, these all things must be covered under the attack. The last but not the least is, what are the type of incidents? So when you go and open the form which is there to fill up and report back, you will find a holistic list of target incident list in that form. You can choose the nearest one or the appropriate one before you report back, so that it will be easy for them to identify and bucketize and come back to you. Back to Harsh.
I think it's a great start that you have given us with, explaining us the objective and the kind of support initially that CERT India guidelines will give us, ranging from the kind of cyber incidents details to the vulnerability notes that Indranil mentioned. And I think step by step, he did cover a few questions also in terms of what has to be reported. So when we are reporting the cyber incidents, the time of the occurrence, information on the affected systems, the symptoms, and the mitigation plans. That is something definitely we need to, share it to the CERT In. This is what actually has to be reported. In terms of the coverage, I think this is also something a lot of our friends would like to know, because I have also come across few of my friends who think this is an optional guideline, but that is not to say, because it covers each and every Indian entity, ranging from the corporates to your government organization, data center, cloud service providers, VPN providers, intermediaries, etc. Of course, just like Shashank mentioned, the impact and the treatment would be different to the different size and the sector of business. So yes, this we can consider as, the blueprint for the Indian cybersecurity as a whole. We did also get some insights into, the type of cyber incidents that we have to report, which is also mentioned in the guidelines. So, we will definitely get into, the first steps and the cornerstone of how to actually develop the CERT In as a project, or, those aspects. But before we go to that and, again, trouble Indranil over here, let us understand from you, what do you think? What are the kind of and how many types of cyber incidents are we supposed to report? Can we have the opinion poll, Vijaya, for same? Let us try to check out and, learn from each other again. Vijay, can we have that poll again, that on the cyber incident reporting?
Yes.
Sure, thank you. We do have a cheat sheet in form of the guidelines, which has already been shared by Vijaya.
No poll is visible.
I hope
Yeah.
the poll is visible to all. So, as per the guidelines, what do you think? How many types of the cyber incidents have to be reported? I think we already got, some details from, an idea from Indranil in terms of those malicious attacks, defacement of the website, unauthorized access across your ICT systems. So let's see, what do you think are the different, type and amount of cyber incidents we have to report? Okay, so we have got few answers. While 38% feel it is 20, about 40% feels it's 16, and we have 25 and 10 for the rest of it. All right. Major of the audience currently feels it's 16 types of cyber incidents. We just have 60% participating. Hopeful that we'll get more now.
This public opinion is very mixed signals, very confusing.
True, very true. For those who are yet to answer, you can still do a little cheating and check that guidelines that we have already shared. We'll just have 20 seconds more, so please hurry up. We should, I think, end the poll now. I hope the results is visible to everyone. So Indranil, can you help us out with the type, how many types of cyber incidents are
20,
actually that we have to
20.
report?
Annexure 1 stated it is 20, and the list is mentioned there in the Annexure 1 of the guidelines has been released. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. So now going from the nerdy and conceptual point, let us now again dig deeper from the practical angle. I hope the poll has closed. Vijay, sorry, the poll has closed, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let's, now dig deeper before going to Shashank. Indranil, you have actually helped us of the what and how and when of the reporting. But, when we talk about these guidelines, this seems to be, like you had mentioned, it's from a 30 feet high. And this 30 feet, certain guidelines has come up with the, directions, but this 30 feet has to be covered by us. So, maybe you can give us some form of a case study out here. How do we exactly step by step, like a project, follow these guidelines in action?
Yeah. First, I draw a cycle and then touch upon everything. So generally, for any incident response, a designated team has to be formed, emergency response team within the organization. And first, then how you have to identify what are the tools used, or maybe methods, or any system using artificial intelligence or log management or monitoring. So it has to be automated. It cannot be manual that, you're sitting, you're expecting your 24/7 team or working will identify. So there should be some human errors. So identification process should be automated to determine whether this incident occurred. If so, analyzing the nature of such incident, identification and protection of evidence and reporting of the same. Then comes containment to limit the scope of the incident quickly and minimize the damage. Otherwise, you're gone. Because the moment the intruder is there on your network, you try to go right or left to probe other systems of. Then comes the eradication to remove the cause of the incident that need to be identified. Finally, the recovery, taking steps to restore to normal operation. Last but not the least, always important is how you try to ensure that similar kind of incident should not recur again. Now, coming to the applicability part of it, the important piece which you want me to explain that. So you decided, okay, let the hacker come and we will act upon it. No, it is not like that. You need to have a drill internally to get ready before the actual incident occurs. So the importance is conduct cyber simulations that you need to perform within your team to test the effectiveness and their controls, which the process to identify the gaps, whatever you formed in your organization. To do that, cyber simulation, you need to develop a threat intelligence within your organization using the leading tools or practices, industry products, reliable products to provide the greater visibility, evolving threat landscape. Then comes threat detection and response. So enterprise can detect, investigate, and respond. So there is some kind of forensic skill also required for within your organization who can help identify the threat, detect, and provide a response or a recommendation to come out of it. Then comes threat hunting. So it is essential proactively hunt for advanced threats and evade detection by conventional security controls to stay secure, vigilant, and resilient to any incoming attacks. To perform it, what is required is you need to go back and check your attack surface of the organization are properly judged. You need to reassess it and identify the risk, test swiftly, and manage remediation vulnerabilities to remediate the risk identified. So this way we can actually protect the containment and perform the remediation activities. That's what I feel.
I think great insights into how we can exactly, start those initial steps. Let me first start with those steps which are proactive and maybe preventive, more in the nature of having those cybersecurity simulations, threat intel, and hunting. Definitely are, using some tools around here can help us to gain that, insights into the attack story a little before it actually happens. Identification and evidence of the reporting at the same time, including your incidents, the analytics around it, the monitoring around it. We do need some element of automation over here. Let us not forget that each one of us, when we talk about the different kind of tools we have, the kind of alerts come up, there is always an overload through that. And so just the manual and a human touch would not suffice. Of course, critical, but would not suffice. At the same time, we need to also, have a constant evaluation of the attack surface we are having. That's how we can actually also identify those critical assets which are there, identify those digital risk a little earlier. At the same time, there has to be those tools which can, help you with threat detection and response and help with that, containment. Of course, followed with those remediation and the recovery measures. I think we did get some details, quite extensive actually once by Indranil, definitely coming out with experience. Shashank, what do you think, when you are practically applying, maybe of course we are talking about the certain, apply, kind of, guidelines, but our aim is to have that kind of a next gen, threat defense platform. So what do you think, what is the roadmap to cyber resilience that you see around yourself?
So thank you on you.
Yeah, thanks, Vijay, for that. I started off. So I was saying that no one size, fits all. That's what Indranil sir also said, that it has to follow the for the mindset of what is your critical aspect, what is your thing. I mean, yeah. So I guess sticking to the basics is definitely required. You should have those processes, those SOPs, those ERT teams which are really handling. If not your own team, you can take it as a service, obviously. So so it depends on how you apply it. But yes, in practicality, you should have all of these in place. Then coming back from the from challenges itself, drives the innovation and the remedies. That's what I believe. So the challenges of practicality of implication, is obviously that we do have the skill shortage. I mean, it is directly said. It was upfront visible that, yeah, we do have the adequate skill shortages. The how to basically differ from what kind of threats are coming. I guess we were speaking before that. We have to have those subject matter experts dive in quicker now because of this time gap which has happened of the 6 hours, obviously. Keeping that rule of end milestone of reporting within 6 hours, we have to work backwards to start creating those milestones and those steps to achieve the same. So obviously we have been given the end goal upfront by the certain guidelines, but I guess even if we are if certain says these things, I was in my previous firm, we have taken up cyber Swachhata Kendra services. These are like botnet analysis services, again from CERT In itself, which they help in getting it. And I guess they are now giving a lot of alerts with regards to any malware which is coming onto your public facing websites and web servers. Yeah. So it is good. And in fact, we are part of NCCC project also, which is again under CERT In, which is actually implementing security operations centers. First, I guess they have critical sectors like power grid and telecom and all they have addressed, and now they are coming to financial sector and so on and so forth. That is what I was aware of. But yeah, so I mean, they are also proactively understanding that, see, this thing needs an automated delivery, as Indranil was saying, that it cannot be manual. It is highly volatile because there is a lot of cyber traffic which we handle. India in itself is a service provider to so many countries across the globe. We have huge service providers which are working be it on the KPO side, BPO side, and also our IT tech services or consultancy services. So I mean, we are actually at the center of the world when it comes to IT related services. So we have so much of cyber traffic which has to obviously get that. So but we are also having those limited visibility when it comes to not having an end-to-end angle, and what is getting reported at telecom service providers, and that will not be shared across to all of its customers, obviously, even if one of the customers happens to be a critical infrastructure. So we have to understand from that standpoint that yes, it is not shared across everyone, but then we have to implement this best practices, stick to the basics, as Indranil was saying, that we should have those SOPs created, maybe create the cyber security strategy with regards to implement various tools. So obviously it has to be a mixture of all three: people, process, and technology, which I see. And wherever we feel that there is a security gap, it has to be fixed in at the earliest possible, because as Indranil was saying, that it is not that it's not matter of when this security incident will happen. It is that it is happening right now. I mean, there is we cannot say we will be able to start action once the hacker is there in my network. Then actually it will happen the same way that we saw the poll. How many are what exactly we are going to report, and where is it on email or is it on a phone, and we are looking at the nth hour. That should not happen. So these all SOPs should be inbuilt as and practiced and drilled as highlighted by the again, that we have to do these drills very meticulously, as we are doing backup and recovery management drills and so on and so forth. This is becoming a norm now. Similarly, I guess cyber security drills should become a norm. Every quarter, we should start testing cyber attack, cyber crisis kind of situations, not just within the IT and tech vertical, but also involve business and also involve, as I said, branding, communications, everyone, because they are the ones who have to address how to go about if such kind of reporting does leak out in public and does leak out in social media. which is disastrous for in this particular age of digital. So I guess it has to have that end-to-end, blueprint of how are we addressing or how we are trying to go about, when it comes to not just report handling or reporting, but right from incident detection to the incident closure. There should be all SOPs in place, and those drills, mock drills, be it or on the threat hunting perspective or red teaming perspective, or on the technical side, or be it the managerial side, as I said, be it the incident management or crisis management. So this is a holistic approach which I feel must be applied by everyone, I guess. Yeah.
Great, Shashank. In fact, you did give us
I'll
the
take a
whole.
minute.
Please, please.
I'll
Please.
I'll take a minute. So I saw a message appearing, which is a very common question from all my customers, that within 6 hours we need to provide the RCA. The answer is no, because not always possible. For the 6 hours is given for responding that yes, we have a incident on the critical infrastructure, having so and so, trying to damage or it is already damaged, whatever is the situation. Then the incident response team, IR team or the forensic team will keep on continuing to remediate or make sure that your system is back to normal, and then you can provide the RCA. By the time CERT In will also check whether your incident is actual, is factual, is correct in nature, and they will also try to help you, because they have a knowledge base already gathered from different databases, different organizations, different OSPs, different OEMs. So they will try to help you with their remediation, I can say recommendation. Now, one thing I missed during my discussion, that there is a critical thing CERT In mentioned, which every organization has to perform, is that first thing, enable the log for all their ICT systems and retain the log for 180 days. If you are not doing it, please ensure that your log is there for 180 days. Then it comes to the picture that they are recommending to go for that enterprise should embrace security operations center solutions and other applicable from trusted managed security service providers. There are a lot of managed security service providers. If you don't have the capability within your organization, please outsource, but embrace that security solution within your organization. And then implementation of log is not only going to help that I have an SIM solution, so I am through. No, you need to have proper use cases, which means what are the logics you are applying to ensure that there is a bypass when somebody is trying to log into your system. So that use cases which requires a specific skill set, which you can get from the service provider, they will create on your log management system so that you're able to detect it. Just by vanilla process implementing an SIM will not help. That is point one. Last but not the least, one more thing which I found in the internet is the crypto sector, which is coming up very heavily. We have huge number of ads in the internet or in the TV or in every media. So also been given an extra requirement out here, which is not mentioned in many of the things. What is that? Virtual asset exchange and custodian wallet providers must maintain your KYC records and financial transactions for a period of 5 years. I repeat, 5 years. So my conclusion is likely a signal to Indian authorities are clamping down on the use of cryptocurrency for money laundering. That's my take out here. Yes, Harsh.
Thank you so much, Indranil. You already answered Abhay's question, and I think this would have been one of the very critical queries of what needs to be reported. So I think Shashank had mentioned about the first information reporting, something like FIR. So that is what is exactly required within the 6 hours of attack or notice. Is that correct then?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Great, great. And I think, yes, you did mention about a few critical things like standalone SIM, in fact, has died. So vanilla approach cannot be applied. It's, of course, a culmination of a couple of tools. In fact, I would rather say it more like a platform. And I think Shashank also gave us quite interesting insights and quite comprehensive, the whole holistic kind of an approach. So I'll also get a little detail into that. So yes, today, if you talk about the cyber traffic in specific to India, it's definitely huge when you compare it with other countries. Keeping in mind that we are the center of the world, specifically more in terms of this IT ecosystem or the world. And in times like today, the gap between having such huge cyber traffic to actually meeting that deadline of 6 hours reporting, we have a lot of work to do, and walking backwards definitely something which helps out. At the same time, that end to end blueprint of the threat or these incident detection to mitigation becomes quite critical. Bringing those cyber crisis handling programs, those inbuilt processes, SOPs, maybe a couple of things done by own team or by third party service providers and subject matter experts is something we really need to think about. And definitely leverage the threat intel and the vulnerability nodes, additional intelligence that the CERT In and the other bodies share, because that is how we can together enable, engage, empower, right? And let's not forget to actually resolve and get freedom from this 3S, which Shashank mentioned, the skill shortage, the sophisticated threats, and the kind of siloed visibility we have. We definitely need to continuously have the people, process, platform approach, the 3Ps. So I think quite interesting inputs already into how to go ahead, and definitely the purpose of the session well served. So what we'll do is, Shashank, Indranil, great insights, and we have already answered one question of Abhay also. We can have 5 minutes more for few more questions if anyone would like to ask.
Yes, so participants, if you want to raise questions without
While they are putting up a question, I'll share something which is out of CERT In. I was traveling from one city to another city a month back, and I met some political leader, a member of parliament. He was giving some insight, and then I Googled it. Yes, it is correct. That which political party, because I don't want to mention it here, I need to be apolitical, but the information is correct. The average age in US is 42. The average age in Europe is 40 plus. The average age of China is 45. The average age of people in India is 25 to 26. It's a very youthful India we have, and we can. This youthful India can help us. They all are tech-savvy people. We being oldies in the system, IT system, we can bank upon those young bloods to help us to grow for the cyber awareness, and we can surely protect it.
Rightly said, Indranil, and our effort is to make people aware these guidelines by government. So we take it as a right step in the integrated ecosystem with the power, internet, or financials. Day-to-day life, we are exposed. So if any small fire is there, we should promptly act it, and the firefighter of cyber ecosystem.
Vijay, definitely all of us aim to be the firefighter of cyber ecosystem, and of course also bank on the energetic tech savvy youth. I think very beautiful messages, no doubt on that. Let us also see if we have any other queries that is coming up. You can put it in the chat box, or you can also verbally ask us same. So then let me also ask one question which definitely comes in my mind, and Indranil, Shashank, in fact, it's open to everyone for the discussion. Do you think it is, time to actually see when it comes to the cyber attacks? It's more like a social stigma also. It creates the business impact. It creates the customers are moving. Of course, we have to be careful in handling such crisis, cyber crisis. But do you think it's time that we at least partially normalize that the cyber attacks that is happening now? If you remember when the COVID had started, and today, COVID has kind of normalized much more than it was before. Do you think it's also the time for cyber attacks, the kind of thoughts that come across, we normalize it to a partial extent?
Shashank, you'd like to take it?
Sure, I'll take it, sir. So, from very good analogy which Harsh has placed over here with COVID, that it has normalized. So, I'll take that analogy only and try to answer my thought process. I mean, everyone's thought process is different. So, sticking to that analogy, why has COVID normalized? Because its threat to human life has decreased. I guess that is the paramount reason why we don't have strict norms like wearing masks is compulsory while entering mall or traveling through buses or local traffic nowadays, or even in airports. It's not mandated. So I guess that is basically the crux of the issue is that the lethalness of the virus has decreased. Similar parlance, if we apply to cyber threats, if we say that even if my I have suffered a ransomware attack, but does not impact my business because I do have backup copies which are even offsite located, which are safely mandated, and I do maintain my RTO RPO very stringently. So I do have those recovery point objects created and my data is safe. That means my business is disrupted only for certain duration in which I will be back up again, and I need not pay to these ransomware threat actors. As Indranil was also saying, that the thought process is that the data is critical, and that's where we are kind of paying these threat vectors and paying in millions and USD dollars and so on and so forth. But I guess once we mature enough, and our internal immunity increases, as has increased with COVID, by sharing threat intels, by creating a robust framework within ourselves, within the nationwide. I guess once we are that robust and that much good in maintaining our data criticality, because ultimately it boils down to data availability and everything. So if we say that even if even if a huge corporate has been impacted, but all the data which was, say, KYC related data was kind of masked, and so hackers did not get anything, or it was encrypted. So it doesn't have any effect on it. So it also boils down to that level. So if the threat vectors lose their sharpness, but that will never happen, because what will happen is they will come up with some new threat vectors, and that has been seeing. I've been being with in last 10 years. I've seen this transitioning from simple network security threats to high powered API security threats now, because web application security is remote now. Now I'm dealing with a lot of API threats and a lot of threats which are front ending to hypervisors, maybe containers, and so on and so forth. This was not there 10 years back. 10 years back it was just firewalls, and we were happy, and not that happy, but yes, still it was manageable. But I guess this is what changes, because as COVID is not mutating faster, and hackers, they are much more I guess much more trending, and they kind of invent a new way to barge into our perimeter defenses or endpoint gateways. I mean, it has been changing throughout. Yeah.
Chicken comes first or egg? That is the question. It's like a coffee toffee which will continue. But yes, basis last 4-5 years, looking into the industry, the awareness has gone very fast, very fast. Small, medium, large, all enterprises are now talking about data and their security. Earlier, if you go and face the boardroom, then they will say, hey, what you are doing? Because generally security is not a profitable center. So it's very difficult to get the budgets allocated for the security system. But now it is not like that, because CISOs are able to convince the board and the CIOs and the organization tops. They are now ready to fund to secure their system, because this is important. So we are there. We are almost there. We need to just reiterate again and again. This type of webinars should help the others We are getting 20 questions, so I'm sure we'll be there. We will be there.
Very true. And Shashank, Indranil, together, I think you did answer quite a bit. Of course, the maturity and immunity that we have, got across COVID versus the cyber threats, both are two different stories. So two different treatments altogether. And yes, threat vectors and its sharpness has constantly evolved. So let's not forget that. In times like today, why cybersecurity, definitely like Indranil mentioned, is not so much of a question, but like we shared before, the responsibility also as an enabler increases. And that is something each one of us will try, to keep on doing it. So yes, amazing insights by Indranil and Shashank today. So many takeaways to, take with us. Before what we wrap up, Shashank, Indranil, why won't we have the final, key takeaways from you as well as Vijay and Satish and anyone who would like to add? Yes, Indranil, please.
You should be always in alert. You should be practicing. You should be assessing your own organization again and again to cross-check whether any unidentified or residual risk remains in the ecosystem so that you can quickly bridge the gap. So that awareness of people, the awareness within the organization is very important because people who are actually going to deal with it. Artificial intelligence is equally important, but finally it is people who will decide. So the team you are working with is not only the IT or IT security team, it is the entire organization who has to be aware and they should know that what they have to do in event of any kind of attack. So that awareness is very important with people. Otherwise, we'll surely be there. We'll surely be there.
Definitely be alert and cyber aware, and of course in practice. And let's not forget, people will always be the pioneer. So awareness is the key. Thank you so much, Indranil. Shashank.
Yeah, my message was would be, keep it simple and to the basics. I mean, you have to have those things ready. I mean, whatever be changes in the cybersecurity world, it still boils down to confidentiality, integrity, and availability, be it with respect to data or your applications or services. So you have to have those basics upfront ready. If you are sorted with the basics, it doesn't matter whether you have to report it to certain 6 hours or GDPR in 72 hours or anything like that. So I guess that is my word. And from a cyber thing, I guess cyber strategy should be a part of business strategy. If we are thinking that a bank is going to go completely to mobile banking, mobile app security, mobile defenses, how you address mobile related financial transactions, everything has to start from day one when the business has decided to go to mobile banking. I mean, that is just an example, but I guess business strategy should be very much in symbiosis to cyber strategy. So I mean, it is linked now. So yeah, that's my side.
Amazing. Let's keep it simple and focus on the basics, like even Cyber Gurukul believes in. Of course, the foundation here being confidentiality, integrity, availability. The answer is right in front of us. And of course, cyber strategy has to be part of the business strategy. Thank you so much, Shashank, Indranil. But before we wrap up, Satish, Vijaya, your final words.
Yeah, I think prevention is better than cure, is what always I keep saying. Okay,
Yes.
so keep people alert that things are happening, going to happen. You can't control the world, but you can control your environment. Keep making people aware that this is going to happen and we can't stop them. So what to access, what not to access, keep training people, your internal customer, external customers. Okay, that will actually help you to reduce the number of attacks.
Yeah, and threat is real, and for the larger good, CERT In is here to stay, and better to have self more aware. This was one of the sessions, so thank you, Indranil and Shashank, to deep dive. And it's given at least a first cut information. We have more to do, but awareness, as we have underlined, awareness is very much required. What to do, how to do. Instead of doing in a silo, if we do jointly, it is going to help. My problem is your solution. Okay, so that way, if Ben can collaborate, it will be easy to defend. That is my understanding.
Very, very true. I think definitely threat is real and certain is to stay. And for that, let's focus on our controllables. And over here, our aim is to, with these certain guidelines, and of course, with focusing on the basics, being cyber aware, cyber strategy as a business strategy, and so much that we have learned today, transform from a tick mark to a culture from these compliances, making it best practices. And like every time, happy to enable, engage, empower together, and let's keep in touch and work on our controllables, and that is to bridge the gap between the business, cybersecurity fraternity, and community at large, so that we can make all these processes as much as simple and inclusive as possible. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Next month, we'll come with another interesting journey and have all of you. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a good weekend. Yes, Shashank.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Indranil. Thank you, Shashank. Thank you, Vijaya, Satish.